This is the Red Line Network.
Supposed to add me to the stage, but here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Four Down Territory here on the Red Line Radio Network. I'm your host, Ryan Neff. Why does it still say that in the banner? I changed it. Let me go here. Let me do this. There we go. We are T-minus Thursday? We are 3 weeks from yesterday, the start of the NFL season. Let me go through some of the news and notes and headlines. Again, I went over this last hour. The Cowboys and the Saints were each fined $500,000 for their brawls in their joint practices. Naughty, naughty, naughty boys. Put by Catherine Terrell Espin. The NFL said on Tuesday that the competition committee has made sportsmanship a point of emphasis over the years, including sportsmanship at joint practices, and the league told every team about the emphasis this summer. Who's checking in here? George Merrill. Hey, brother. Good evening. Let's throw that up there. Boom. Boom. Hey, brother. Good evening. Checking in from upstate New York. Thank you, George. George of the jungle. Watch out for that tree. Thanks for tuning in, GM. See what I did there? GM, NFL, GM, General Manager. George Merrill checking in. Thank you, whoever tunes in, whoever likes. Questions, comments, criticisms, all welcome. A league spokesman said today about the sportsmanship. All clubs were reminded by memo prior to training camp of their responsibility in preventing sportsmanlike behavior at joint practices that has the potential to result in injury. Fights occurred on both fields of the joint practices. Again, naughty, naughty. Boys will be boys. Went over this last hour as well. The Lions are not sure that Sam Laporta will be ready for the season opener. He's coming off that injury. I did not realize this, that the Lions, with their offensive line signings, the X, Y, and Z, roughly equates to about $1 billion, which I did not know. George Merrill, like 12-8 shotgun, correct? But spelled G-A-G-E, George. But let's go Steelers. Now, it's interesting to see what the Steelers do this year. Real interested. You got to keep. What do you think about Scadaboo? He's got to stay healthy, man. The best ability is availability. Interested to see what the Steelers do with Aaron coming back. I did not think he'd come back. I thought they'd go a different route. I was wrong. I will admit when I'm wrong every once in a while, by the way. I was wrong on that. But again, with the Steelers, got to keep Aaron upright. He's not the most nimble. He's not a spring chicken anymore, is what I'm trying to say. Are they going to use the running backs effectively? Because you have to. You really have to. Yeah, the Lions say Laporta, they don't know yet, from what I'm seeing here. George checks in. He does. He was a monster his rookie year. Me needed the need to look at Will Howard. I'm not saying Will Howard is the answer either, but you have to keep Aaron upright. How are they going to use DK Metcalf? How are they going to use some of these other receivers? You got Washington as a tight end who's what, 6'9", with 270 pounds, and all they're using for is blocking. He's a mismatch for anybody, by the way. I would say to take the pressure off of Aaron for the Steelers, run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, utilize those tight ends. And you got to get it to Metcalf. You've got to get it to Metcalf. Some of this other stuff I've already gone over. Oh, speaking of fights, by the way. Yes. George checks in again. Nobody can touch Washington. Nope. I agree. Yeah, he's a mismatch for anybody. They don't use him. I don't know why. I don't get it. I don't get it. Did you see him at Georgia when he played? Players were pulled from a fight-filled Giants-Dolphins practice. Go figure. Reported by Jordan Renan and Marcel Louis Jacques. Just says here, multiple players from Thursday's joint practice between the Dolphins and Giants were pulled for throwing punches or the physical actions during a fight-filled workout. I guess they didn't get the memo from the league, by the way. It says Dolphins offensive tackle Austin Jackson and Giants right tackle Jermaine Edemanur were among those to be taken off the field. Blah, blah, blah. Saquon Barkley came out and said he hates joint practices. I think they should do joint practices instead of these preseason games, which mean dick. They don't mean shit. They mean nothing. If you're going to do preseason games, I would do two. The first game for all the said players that are trying to make the team. And then game number 2, the first half would be for your starters. And then the second half would be a mix. Starters, guys trying to make the team, XYZ. See how they fill in. George checks in again. We need Metcalf to keep his temper to a slim. Well, that would be with anybody, though, to be honest with you. Yeah, but Saquon says he doesn't like joint practices. Reported by Tim McManus, who covers the Eagles. I'm the wrong guy to ask about joint practices because I hate joint practices. I think one day is good. He says here more times than nothing good comes out of it. When you have the work, it's good, but when you get the pushing, the shoving, and some says this about you, and it's, I don't know about that, but you're this. It's immature when you get to the level, to that level. I have to do a better job, too, because I'm a little troublemaker sometimes, but I was good this week. All that shit goes on during regular season games anyway. It happens more in joint practices than it does in the regular season. But if you think guys aren't talking shit to one another during a game, you're wrong. Aaron Donald will probably make his decision soon. He's still trying to stay in shape. Vita Vea came out and said that amongst all the drama, he wants to be a Buccaneer for life. He said, they say home is where the heart is. I feel like my heart is in Tampa. He received a $6 million boost in pay for this year and a one-year extension worth $30 million guaranteed in 2027. I always wanted to be a Buck, and I wanted to be a Buck for life. That's nice. You don't see this every day. Put by Rich Zamini, who covers the Jets for ESPN. Jets owner Woody Johnson has bought stake in Aston Martin F1 team. Must be nice to have money to throw around. He's acquired a minority stake in Aston Martin Aramco Formula One racing team and will join the company's board of directors as vice chairman. It was announced today. He will focus on the team's commercial growth, especially in the U.S., but won't undertake any day-to-day management duties, according to Aston Martin. If you remember, he bought the Jets for $635 million in 2000. How's that working out, by the way? He purchased a 43% stake in Crystal Palace of the English Premier League last year, if you remember. And now he's into Formula One. Well, isn't that nice? If you ditch Crystal Palace and you wouldn't be at the F1 level now, why don't you save that money and invest more in your team, which is the Jets, or sell the Jets to somebody that may give a rat's ass? I don't know. Yes, when I saw this, the Lions have accumulated $1 billion in contract extensions. Joe Burrow came out and said that he's tired of waiting. Super Bowl or bust. Said this is it. Let's see. What did he say here? Reported by Ben Baby, who covers the Bengals for ESPN. He said you can keep pushing it down the road. You can talk about it now and say this is the year. I'm tired of saying it. Next year, next year, next year. This is it. Your life is too short to keep pushing things down the road. I'm trying to instill some urgency and some intensity in everybody to go, and everybody ready to go and be great every day and try to make it happen. Hint, hint. If they don't make a Super Bowl push this year, they don't make the Super Bowl, Burrow's gone. And I will make a bold prediction. If they don't make the Super Bowl this year, and it really goes south, even if they make a huge playoff push, he's gone. And I'll make an even bolder statement. Both he and Jamar Chase, the Vikings, will make that happen in the offseason. It'll be Burrow, Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase in Minnesota. I don't know how Minnesota would do it, but I'm just going to say this now. In 2027, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow will be with the Minnesota Vikings. I'll be having my NFL 2026 preview special. I'm targeting September the 3rd, which is a Thursday night. And let me, it looms upon us here. We're less than 3 weeks away. But I'm going to go to week 1, and I'm just going to look at the matchups as they stand now. We open up in Seattle with a Super Bowl rematch from last year. New England at Seattle. That'll be at 8:20 p.m. on NBC. You can get tickets as low as $283, by the way. I think New England wins this one this time around. That's where I'm sticking to it today, subject to change. Thursday, September 10th in Australia. Not Austria. Australia. I would have liked to have seen them play in Austria instead of Australia. A huge early NFC West matchup. The 49ers will be visiting the Rams at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, Melbourne, Victoria, Australia. Right now, if I'm going to lean, I'm going to lean the Rams. Then you have the Sunday games. The 1 o'clock games are as such. Sunday, September 13th. These are all subject to change. This is just where, if the season started today, this is what I will be leaning. Tampa Bay is at Cincinnati. You just heard me talk about Joe Burrow, Super Bowl or bust, basically. I would lean Cincinnati if the season started today over Tampa Bay. New Orleans at Detroit. Again, New Orleans is still a train wreck. I would go Detroit. The Jets are at the Titans. That's a pick 'em game. You can get tickets as low as $29, by the way. I don't know. I would say 2020 tie. How's that? Baltimore will be at Indianapolis. I don't know if Daniel Jones is going to be back. Again, this is just all preliminary shit that I'm throwing out there. If the season started today, I would take Baltimore to beat Indianapolis week 1. Atlanta's at Pittsburgh. I would pick Pittsburgh in that particular matchup. Chicago is at Carolina. These are all 1 o'clock games. Season started today. I would take probably Chicago. I don't understand this. You can get tickets as low as $213 for Chicago at Carolina. What am I missing? What am I missing that it's $213 to go see Chicago at Carolina? Also at 1 o'clock, Cleveland at Jacksonville. I would still have to go to Jacksonville. A real tasty matchup, intra-division, or intra-conference, I should say. Buffalo at Houston. A very interesting early AFC matchup. I would probably lean toward Buffalo if the season started today. Then the 4 o'clock games are as such. Miami is at Vegas. Oof. That might get fugly, like real quick. That could end in a field goal tie. NFC North, Green Bay and Minnesota to open the season for both with a divisional matchup. I would have to go with Minnesota early at home. Washington at Philadelphia. I would go Philly. The Cardinals are at the Chargers. I would have to go to Chargers. I would lean Chargers if the season started today. Dallas at the Giants. If Dallas's defense shows up this year like it did last year, it's gonna be a long year. In this particular matchup, Sunday night in New York, I would probably lean Giants. And then the Monday night matchup, AFC West, crucial early matchup, Denver at Kansas City. My Chiefs. Still don't know if Mahomes is going to play. Even if he does play, I still have to see it out of the Chiefs this year after what happened last year because they're older. I know they've got Kenneth Walker III in the backfield. He needs to stay healthy. I would probably lean Denver in that particular equation to start the season. Preseason right now, Raiders Texans scoreless, 10:27 left in the first. Again, I don't care about preseason. I know there's some people who like to watch preseason football to see how the players that are trying to make the team, how they perform. I don't care. You figure the first 3 or 4 rounds of the NFL draft, more likely than not, those particular players you picked are going to make it. It's like either rounds 4 through 7 or 5 through 7. Those are the guys that are really trying to make the team. And I just preseason, I don't care. Way back in the day when I was in high school, when I was growing up in the 70s as a kid, even like the 90s, I would watch some preseason. No, I just don't give a shit because it doesn't mean anything. Texans. They've scored early. It's 7-0. Texans. Let's see who scored. Woody Marks. Woody Marks will probably see some touches this year. He scored rushing touchdown from, it looks like, 6 yards out. Texans take the 7-0 lead. I don't care. I go through some like bullshit stuff just because I find it interesting. So ESPN today, Dan Graziano came out with his 2027 NFL quarterback predictions. 16 teams with question marks. He says Arizona Cardinals. Right now, your current starter is Jacoby Brissett. How is Jacoby going to do this year? The Minstash, I call him Gardner Minshew. He's also there, along with Carson Beck. But the starter is going to be Brissett. Will he make it through the year? I don't know. I would gather Brissett will probably get hurt at some point. Minshew and Beck may see time this year. We'll see. He has the Atlanta Falcons. Obviously, you got Tua, Michael Penix. They're both left-handed quarterbacks. Who's going to start? I don't know. You would think it would be Penix. Tua is one concussion away from being a vegetable. So you're going to assume that it's going to be Penix. We'll see. I think both of these guys would be auditioning. And then we'll see after the season. Would the Falcons go after somebody else? Baltimore Ravens, he's got the Baltimore Ravens with quarterback issues potentially with Lamar Jackson. You remember the deal that he signed, he's going to make $52 million this year, $52 million next year. If Lamar stays healthy, I would probably think that Lamar would continue to be your starter. You would hope he would take it to the next level. Again, like with the Bills, the Ravens, the Bengals. I mean, there was no Mahomes in the playoffs last year, and they still couldn't make it to the Super Bowl. The Patriots did. Now, I would also say that if Bo Nix in the AFC Championship team doesn't get hurt, then Denver probably goes to the Super Bowl, and New England doesn't. But again, he has Baltimore. Carolina Panthers with Bryce Young. That's a no-brainer. He really needs to take another step this year. If he can't, he's either going to find himself on the bench or he'll be gone after this year. Cleveland Browns are a mess. Your current starters, he's probably either going to be Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders. Both are signed through this year. I would probably think it's for as much as the Browns are a fucked up organization, you would almost have to think that if Watson looks better than Shedeur, they're going to start Deshaun. You would think. Lions, Jared Goff, he signed through 2028. Would the Lions, after this year, if the Lions don't take that leap, could the Lions, even though he signed through 2028, could the Lions sort of make a decision on Goff at the end of the year? He's starting to get up there in age a little bit. So we'll see. But the defense for the Lions has to play better. They have to. Because if they don't, it's going to be another long year for the Lions. Houston Texans he has here. He is CJ Stroud signed through 2027. CJ Stroud took a step back last year. The defense carried him most of the year. When the Houston Texans got to the playoffs, Stroud looked like shit. Just let's not mince words. He did not look good whatsoever. If he takes the next step this year and he can lead the Texans in a good playoff push, make a run, then you would you would bring him back. But he's, again, you're waiting. Does he take the next step? For the Colts, he has Daniel Jones. Look, Daniel Jones was gangbusters last year. Colts were good when he was on the field. I was wrong about Daniel when he was with the. I was right when he was with the Giants. When he went to the Colts, I said he ain't going to do shit, but he did. And then he got hurt, and the Colts season fell off a cliff. He signed through 2027. He's coming off the injury. How's he going to perform? You have to keep him upright. I guess best case scenario, he has a fantastic year. He's all good for 2027. The Rams, Matthew Stafford. Stafford signed through 2027. I have a feeling, thanks for the love, by the way, greatly appreciate it. I say questions, comments, criticism is all welcome. I know some people think that Stafford will be back next year too, but I think if the Rams win the Super Bowl this year, and they would be my favorite, by the way, especially if Aaron Donald comes back. If he wins the Super Bowl this year, being 38 years old, I think he hangs it up. If they don't win the Super Bowl, but he plays really well, my man Adam M. Brody, Adam Magnificent Brody, or Bordy, sorry. My eyesight's going in my old age, by the way. Who starts for the Browns? Sanders or Watson? I was just talking about that a little bit earlier. I think it's Watson. I just do. If he outperforms Shador, you're paying him that hefty contract. Deshaun does. I think Deshaun starts. But if Deshaun struggles and the Browns are sucking again, you're going to see Shador the rest of the way. But I think Deshaun starts the season as the starter. He also has on here Malik Willis. He signed through 2028. You would hope that Malik Willis has a good year this year so you can bring him back for 2027 and 2028. It's the rest of the team that's going to just be ass. The Dolphins are not going to be good. Raiders are going to suck. Dolphins are going to suck. I'm not going to throw the Jets in there. I think the Jets have done enough that I'm not going to say they're going to make the playoffs. They could be 8-9 somewhere in there. Or maybe 7-10. The Saints probably going to suck. The Cardinals are like borderline for me. So those would be the suck ass teams for me. I think Tennessee's going to make some noise this year, by the way. I was having a conversation. We were making bold predictions at the Leaf and Bean Cigar Lounge over there in Florence, New Jersey, and we were making bold predictions. It's like 3 weeks ago. They asked me, what team in the AFC do you think could be a dark horse? Watch out for Tennessee this year. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not saying they're going to go wild in the playoffs. Tennessee's going to fuck up some people's Sundays this year. And then the NFC, maybe not much of a stretch, but in Minnesota can get some sort of a semblance of a running game. I think Minnesota could make a little bit of noise. Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings. I was just talking about it. Minnesota Vikings. Kyler Murray, basically on a loaner. He signed through the rest of the year. You're hoping he's having a good year. I said this before earlier in the show. If Joe Burrow and the Bengals don't make the Super Bowl, or they don't make a huge push, and he already said it, this is it. When he's saying this is it, you got to look, you have to read between the lines. With the Vikings, I don't know how the Vikings would do it, but I predict next year, if everything goes awry, Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow will be with the Vikings next year. He has the Jets. Again, Geno Smith, contract year. He signed through 2026. You heard what their coach said. Geno Smith's going to take us to the promised land. I don't know what promised land he's talking about. Maybe he's talking about Secaucus. I don't know. You would hope and think that the Jets again would use their plethora of running backs. A quarterback's best friend is a running game. Takes all the pressure off. But who knows what would happen with the Jets if Geno doesn't work out? He has Jalen Hurts in here. I don't know. Hurts is signed through 2028. We'll have to wait and see what happens with the Eagles. Would they move on from Jalen this year if he doesn't have a good year? I don't know. Let's see how he does without A.J. Brown. Yes, the Steelers, obviously Aaron Rodgers, signed through 2026. I'm just going to say this now. I don't think Aaron will make it through the year. Not hurt. At some point this season, he will probably get banged up. And again, just like with the Steelers, you got a slew of tight ends, a slew of running backs. Use them. Take the pressure off of Aaron. Run the goddamn football. He has the Seahawks in here. Sam Darnold signed through 2027. Look, no Kenneth Walker. You got Igbukah, or not Igbukah. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I want to see how Seattle does post Super Bowl. A lot of people have him still making the playoffs. I'm not so sure about that. We'll see. Baker Mayfield in here. A lot of people think maybe Baker Mayfield, he'll be done this year. Maybe he winds up in Minnesota. Maybe he winds up with the Jets. I don't know. So there you have it. Some scores. The Texans scored again. It's 14-0 Houston. Fernando Mendoza started. Right now he's 1 of 3 for 22 yards and a pick. Mike Washington Jr. 3 rushes for 34 yards. Jalen Naylor 1 catch for 22 yards. C.J. Stroud is playing for the Texans. He's 4 of 6 for 27 yards. Woody Marks 4 carries, 37 yards, and a touchdown. It doesn't say how they scored the other one, though. I'm looking for it. Oh, here we go. Wade Woodaz with a pick. Pick off Mendoza. He ran 80 yards for the touch. Wade Woodaz, if you remember, played with Clemson. Nice player. I think I'm going to end it there. We will delve into more and more NFL. I'll go through more of the schedule as we get closer and closer. We already went through week 1 there. Again, September 3rd, I will be doing my NFL 2026 preview special for the season. I believe I'm going to do it from 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, hopefully from a venue and not from my palatial estates here in the greater Philadelphia area. So, enjoy whatever action you're going to watch this week. There's a shitload of preseason games on this week for NFL. The Premier League is kicked back in now. I'll be tuning into that. Major League Baseball, man. Major League Baseball, the wild cards are tight. Very, very tight. No shows for me tomorrow. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. It stopped raining here. I thought we were going to lose power. Yeah, everybody, you have a or I forget yet again, because I'm an idiot. Redline Radio Network show sponsored by the Doghouse Bar and Grill in El Rey, Ohio. If you mention Redline Radio and get 10% off your purchase. Also, Professional Touch Home Remodeling LLC. You can call Dave 440-731-0705 for free estimates, and he also has financing available. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see everybody Monday here on the Redline Radio Network, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will have another edition of For What It's Worth, all things political. The shit show right now that's across the globe not just here. And then, no, that'll be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Redline Radio Network. It'll be another edition of Early Evening Sports Buffet with the Ginch. You have a great weekend, everybody. I will see you on Monday.
Redline Network introduces our newest partnership, Outlaw Light. Outlaw is crafted for all of the beer drinking patrons of America. They aren't preaching or teaching, their mission plain and simple, to provide a high quality beer at an affordable price. Outlaw is crisp, crushable, refreshing. Available by the case, tall boys, 16-ounce 6-packs or singles. Go to outlawbeer.com to find the nearest can or tavern near you. The Redline Network proudly raises their cans to you. Stay bold, Outlaw.